This is the podcast. And it's not as busy a week as we're used to as boxing fans, to be honest with you. You get spoiled last week, but sometimes you need like just a little break, just a little something to calm you down. And we just got one card this weekend. I think it's an interesting main event. It's not no big names, I would say, no really star power, but I would say just if you're making a good fight, guys that lost their big opportunities, but have always competed at a really high level. And I think that these are matchups that we don't get enough of. I might be honest with you. I want more of these matchups. The fight I'm talking about. Wrong video. But tune into In the Raw. This is a new segment I do on YouTube. Tune into it in the Raw. Or I do just more short takes on it. So beautiful plug, honestly. Beautiful timing. But that's not what I was going to. What I'm talking about is Pedraza versus Commey. Now, Pedraza versus Commey is... These are guys that when they would lose before, when it was HBO and Showtime, you would never see them again on TV. You would hear about them, but you would never see them again on TV. You would maybe catch them maybe on a Friday Night Fights or something like that. But they would never get like a primetime main event thing like this, what they're getting here. And that's the beautiful thing is because boxing is getting so much attention and so much, there's so many networks competing for, to put their stamp in boxing and to make their and these promotions have got with these networks and these network deals that led to more opportunities for fighters, right? So you got a fight like this, which to me is a very interesting fight. It's at 140. Pedraza's coming off a loss to Jose Ramirez, where he did some good. I thought he did some all right stuff in it. When I first saw it, I was like, I don't know, I must have been way off. I had just had a baby. It was I was not scoring things correctly, but I was like, oh, I think Pedraza might be in the lead. Rewatched again, he was not in the lead. He lost that fight, but he did some good things in it. Now Commey's coming off a one-sided loss to Lomachenko. Now, Lomachenko is a highly skilled fighter, still to me at a very high level, still competing at a high level. But if you go before that, he had got a stoppage over Marinas. Now, Marinas, if you see what he did after that, is he had a really tough fight with Frank Martin. And Frank Martin is turning into a contender, top contender at 135 pounds. So Commey... There was things where it's like, well, is Commey washed? He couldn't keep up with Loma. Is that because he doesn't have it anymore? But if you go just before that, he looked very good, very fast, very strong against Marinas. Well, when you're fighting a guy like Lomachenko, he can make good fighters look lesser than. That's just the case of it. So I think that with Lomachenko, because Lomachenko receives a lot of negativity. He really receives a lot of praise too, but there's, it's really can't be in the middle with Lomachenko. You either really love him or you really hate him. And I think that the crowd that's negative towards Lomachenko, a lot of times you ask, bring up a Lomachenko win and it'll be downplayed, just because of who Lomachenko is. This happens for a various number of it happens for a lot of fighters when you have the crowd that doesn't like them, and then you have a crowd that does like them. They'll overpraise the win, and then the crowd that doesn't like them will downplay the win. But I think this is one of those times where you're downplaying a win that it's just not the case. I just think that Commey is just not at Lomachenko's level. And that's what it looked like. And I don't think weight was really the issue. I think the reason why he's going 140 because there's not really anything for him at 135 the top rank has. He's not really competing with the top guys anymore. So a lot of times when guys, he's got his shot at that weight class and it didn't work out, he's got to go look elsewhere. And you're never going to go more down usually. You're going to go up. So he's going up to 140 pounds. And 140 pounds is very interesting, especially what Top Rank has to offer at 140 pounds. There's a lot of good names out there, a lot of good fighters. So Commey entering in the 140 pounds to me is very interesting. I'm not really downplaying it. Now, Pedraza's been at 140. He just got his shot against Jose Ramirez. Like I said, he came up short. He's beaten some guys coming up, but no one that is really a notable name or no one that is, to me, a legit contender. Now, Pedraza has lost he's lost every big fight he's been in. He's lost to Lomachenko, he's lost to Tank Davis, he lost to Jose Ramirez, he lost to Cepeda. He's lost all his big fights. But he's shown that he's a notch above, he's not a gatekeeper because he takes out a lot of guys that are contenders. He's somewhere in the middle. So this is to me a perfect matchup, for perfect place where they're at in their career to fight each other. You got Pedraza, Commey, and Commey trying to show that he still has something left and show that he can be competitive at 140 pounds. Pedraza is trying to show that he's not done yet, and he's not gonna fold just yet, and maybe could get one more big fight at 140 pounds. Now, what I notice about Pedraza is he's a little bit of a front runner. He needs to have success to be effective and stay consistent in a fight. I think as soon as the fight starts to go south for him, I think that he starts getting really gun shy. I think that he has a hard time keeping the pace. I could see him just even like mentally just getting tired, right? There's a lot of things like people get physically tired. The one thing that people don't talk about a lot is getting mentally tired. Mentally tired is a lot of times because of defeat. A lot of times that you feel like, it feels like, and I've experienced this before, it feels like an avalanche. When you're doing good and then things start going south and you feel it and you're like, okay, I need to put my foot on the gas here to make sure that this doesn't happen, right? I need to put my foot on the gas here to hold him back from getting momentum. And when the guy starts gaining momentum, keeps gaining momentum, suddenly, right, you mentally start getting fatigued. Guys start getting mentally fatigued. And it's not even really physical. It's just mentally. It's just your body just kind of comes down with like, I'm not gonna be able to keep up with this guy's doing. He's reaching another gear that I can't reach. And I think I see Pedraza do that. When things get tough for Pedraza, I think he starts to slow down. I don't think he keeps the same pace, rhythm, activity. I don't think he keeps that. I don't think he puts in the next gear to shut down a guy. See, when someone's running, right, and you're leading them the whole time, and then you get the final lap or the final stretch, and a guy starts sprinting, right? Even if someone's in the lead, they have to be able to gut that in and dig deep to get that last sprint to make sure that you beat them. You have to defeat them mentally. You have to let them. You have to be able to put your foot on the gas and let them know that you are not in this fight, and I'm not going to let you back in this fight. See, there's a mental part to it. Now, a guy like Commey is a guy that he's going to force himself into the fight. He's never going to be gun shy. He's going to start off fast. He's going to put a lot of pressure on you. And he is not a guy that mentally is ever out of a fight. He always feels like he's in a fight. Now, he has limitations with his legs as far as like in what you saw in the Lomachenko fight. He couldn't get his feet right and set to feel comfortable that he could hit Lomachenko. It was also guessing, couldn't figure out the range. He also puts a lot into all his shots. He kind of wants to put everything into his shots. So Pedraza, who's going to be the boxer in this matchup, he's going to look to move around. And because he moves around and it looks slick at times, he's got a little speed to him, right? He looks a little smooth. I think you kind of assume like, oh, he's good defensively. He's the boxer. He's going to look to miss shots and make you pay for it. And he moves around. I wouldn't say though he's necessarily like great defensively. I don't even think I would say he's borderline, like honestly, barely good defensively. His defense is basically him using his legs, but sometimes even the leg movement is kind of wasted. It's not like really purposeful leg movement. He kind of just moving around the ring just to move around the ring at times, and then sometimes he does a move and nothing comes off of it. It's a lot of wasted energy, and his guard is not great. He doesn't have a great guard, and it's actually where he gets trouble a lot because he gets stuck in certain positions, but his left hand will be down or his right hand will be in the wrong spot. He doesn't have a very good guard. Which is when Commey fought Lomachenko is an underrated defensive fighter, and he's got very good head movement, very good upper body movement, and he has a good guard. So you're not really getting anything really free versus him. Now, Lomachenko stays in range, so he will get caught from time to time because you're just staying in range against a high-level pro fighter. Pedraza's going to move around a lot, but Commey's going to be able to find him. That's just the case of it. Commey's going to be able to find him, and at the time, Pedraza's going to get stuck in just kind of like a shelled up defense where where Commey's going to be able to tee off. Now, can Pedraza move around enough and keep that going to where Commey can't get set? That's what he's kind of going to need to be a strategy. He's going to need to keep moving him because Commey's legs aren't great, right? They're not great, and he kind of needs to shoot forward straight. He's a sprinter. He's going straight. You start giving him angles, he's not going to be able to catch you. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't have experience because he could cut you off here and there, but for really his offense to be effective, it needs to be coming in a straight motion. Okay. He's not going to be able to play the game where he's going to, play that front, cut you off this way and then come in with the offense. It's going to have to cut you off and then set and then come forward. So Pedraza's going to need to move around, but it's got to be strategic and it's got to be controlled. It can't just be all over the place, and because then sometimes he ends up right in front of the guy where he shouldn't be. He's just moving too much. Commey has to show that what he's always kind of showed is that I'm going to get my offense going. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to be aggressive, and I'm going to emphasize my game in here. And this is going to be a battle. If Pedraza can keep Commey off balance, but also can he keep his foot on the gas when he needs to not let Commey just steamroll him in this fight. Not getting the point where it's like, okay, this guy's taking control now. He's getting momentum, and I'm going to fold like I usually do. No. This is the fight where he has to show that I can compete at this level. And that's mentally. And to me, it's always mentally. Now, skill-wise, Pedraza's going to get hit. He's going to get hit in this fight. I think he might win the early rounds because, like I say, he's going to be able to move. He's going to have confidence at that point. And he could put some combinations together, and he's pretty smooth with his offense. I think this is going to be actually a pretty entertaining fight early. There'll be some fun exchanges early. Now, what I'm curious is in the midpoint, right? When Commey's still coming forward, still aggressive, still looking to land big shots, and it's close, and maybe Commey's, having some moments where he could pull ahead. Does Pedraza start to fold? Does he stop trying to win rounds? Does he start getting gun shy, and does he just start moving around, just move around to kind of survive? Because there's going to be a point where he's going to need to put his foot on the gas in this fight. And he's going to need to show Commey mentally, I'm not letting you win it. I'm going to take control of this fight. Now, none of these, Pedraza doesn't have a lot of power at 140 pounds, and he hasn't really showed any power. And he's been in fights where he's tagging the guys up, but to me, he's just not showing any pop. Commey at 140, we don't really know. We don't know what his power is going to look like, but I'm going to have a guess that he's still going to, his pop's still going to carry, still going to have some good power in his punches. So Pedraza's going to be able to, hit him with shots, but I don't think he's going to be able to hold off Commey. I don't think he's going to give Commey anything that Commey's going to say, I'm not going to come forward and face that. So that's another thing where it's like very tough for a guy that's maybe not the most mentally strong, in my opinion. We're going to find out, though. I think Pedraza could win the early rounds. And I think you're going to see it start getting tighter and more exchanges. And then in the middle, we're going to see if Pedraza can put his foot on the gas. From what I've seen, I don't think he is. That's just because from what I've seen in this kind of fight, this is the kind of fight where Commey, you really have to take him out of a fight. Like even in the Lomachenko fight, he's getting smoked the first half of it. And then he kind of, does things to make it like a more competitive fight. He's not a guy that's like mentally out of it. He's going to always feel like he has a chance. He's always going to come forward. You're going to have to beat him with skill. And I don't think Pedraza is going to have enough of that to really separate himself the way he needs to win a fight, to feel comfortable in a fight. And I think he will start to fold as the fight goes on. I'm going to take Commey to win the second half of this fight by just aggression, by still having the speed and still applying the pressure and exploding at Pedraza. And Pedraza just not being able to keep up with the pace. He might be moving around. He might land a slick shot here and there, but I don't think he's going to keep up the pace to win the rounds and later. I'm going to take Commey by decision. I wouldn't be surprised if Commey in like a late stoppage type fight. Maybe Pedraza's corner stops it. Remember, Pedraza's at a point of his career where it could be, for both of these guys, honestly, like this is kind of what I could honestly label this a gulag fight. This could be a gulag fight, where one guy goes, one guy's done, and the other guy gets to keep going on. This is right about there. So remember, Pedraza and his corner. No, you don't. If you don't win this, it's really not a lot of great opportunities after this. We're gonna have to fight a bunch of young up and coming contenders, right? And the same thing with Commey. So if Pedraza is taking shots and doesn't feel like he's gonna win it, he's not really in it. I wouldn't be surprised if a corner stoppage in this fight. Now, I don't think Commey and his corner is going to have that mentality at all. Even if they feel like this might be his last fight, I think he's going to come forward and look, because he's going to have the power. He's always going to have that one chance to come back in the fight, even if he's down. And like I said, I don't think Pedraza has all that great power. So I don't think he's going to be taking some punishing shots. It'll be more of like an outboxing. But if Commey's winning, he's landing some punishing shots, and he's doing some very punishing work. So I'm going to take Commey in this fight, decision. And I think he's very interesting at 140 pounds, like I said. And I think Top Rank is really rich at 140 pounds. And they got a lot of good talent at 135, a lot of good talent coming up from 130. And now we're at this interesting 126. Like this little range of guys. And it's actually probably the one in this range from 140, like 126 is probably the most interesting boxing right now. Just of all the talent they have and all the names and all the matches they could possibly make, I just think it's really interesting. But I think this is one of those fights where I don't know, we just wouldn't get stuff like this before. And this is really, I'm going to say, like a UFC type thing, where it's like UFC, you got two guys and you're like, oh, they were contenders. And before you'd be like, oh, they can't fight for a title, so I don't want to see them, or they can't be the best possible guy, so I don't want to see them. But it's like, no, why? They're two very good fighters, and maybe can they beat the Tiafimos and Lomachenkos or Devin Haney's? No, they're probably not. But that doesn't mean that they can't beat good names and they can't beat good guys and still add to their own resume and still make money and still put them on TV because people want to see entertaining fights. And I think this is going to be possibly a good chance to be an entertaining fight, back and forth fight. And we're going to see, really, I think it's a challenge of mental strength in this fight. Can one guy hold off the other guy? And that's what it takes a lot in these fights. Thank you guys for listening. This has been the Ezra Podcast.